Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So, I wanted to come and make a kind of special video. So, I'm going to be making some focal points for art journaling, and I thought it would be nice to start building a little bit of a collection of things that I paint and make myself. And I've made collage papers before and things like that, but I haven't really done illustrations for focal points. And one of the fun things I wanted to do is once I get done with this, I will be using them in my own projects, but I will also make them available for free download on my website, and you can use them personally or commercially if you do that kind of art. So I have my paper, or really styrofoam plate, that I use for my mixing palette on here, my 2-inch silicone brush, and some matte medium. So I'm going to start off almost like with a little mood board. So I've got a lunch tray down here and an 11 by 14 sheet of mixed media paper. And I just have the lunch tray down to protect my tabletop from my matte medium. And I've got a bunch of scrap paper over to this side that I'm going to cover this whole sheet with some random collage with my matte medium. And then we're going to cover that with gesso and go in with the artwork. So stick around and we will make some pretty cool little doodads together. So I'm going to grab my Victoria magazine. So I got like a whole stack of these in a estate sale for like $2. And so I'm going to start off with some of this because it has some nice text and some different images in it. And I mean, there's some really beautiful artwork in here. And these are all from, I think, like the 90s, I want to say. So I'm going to start tearing out a couple of sheets of this. Old Calvin Klein Eternity ad. Wow, that's really something. Okay, I also have a big box here of scrap paper, and it's where I put old sheets that I haven't used, paper scraps, stuff from other projects, tear outs, and so I'm just going to grab some of this random stuff too. I'm not really concerned about what I've got going down because it's all going to get covered with gesso, but you'll be able to see little details and stuff coming through. So I'm just going to grab a few things here and call it a day and start gluing. I'm going to move my tray over to the side just a little bit so you can see, and I'm going to get a healthy amount of matte medium on my plate. And I'm just going to keep my bottle handy actually in case I need more. And I'm going to start gluing, and I'm going to start with some of the larger pieces of paper first and then go smaller and then end up covering this whole sheet. Okay, I'm back, and this is mostly dry. It's a little tacky in some areas, but it's fine to spread some gesso. So because I did a quick and hasty collage, I have a couple of little areas with some ripples, but I really don't care about that because I'm going to be drawing over this, cutting it out, painting, and all sorts of things. So I am going to go in with my giant filbert brush, and that will help me get in some of those nooks and crannies where I have some of the ripples. So this will just kind of leave like white lines on it if I go with my silicone brush. So I'm going to do the filbert instead. So I'm just moistening my brush in my jar of water, and I'm going to blot it off pretty good and then get to work on brushing it on. And I'm just going to put my gesso right here on the paper. and give it a pretty good amount, I'm going to get this all knocked back with a single layer of gesso. And that way you'll still be able to see a lot of the texture and interest coming through because gesso is not completely opaque, but it will be a good surface to start creating some art. And so I'm not being careful. I'm just kind of going through, and I might blot some of this back if it's too heavy. But I want a good sealed surface to do that art. And you can see one of those little lumps there. I'm just kind of going over it with the brush. And get a good coat all the way to the edge so that I can use this whole piece of paper as a drawing background. And I'm going to go in several different directions and just get a nice coat on everything. Get my corners and my edges. My paper's just kind of dancing around the tray. But this is why I wanted it down for some protection, because you just never know. And I'm just getting pretty messy here, so. Okay. That's looking pretty good. I think I might use a baby wipe to blot a little bit of this off so it's not quite so stark. So I've got a baby wipe. I'm gonna won't wipe my hand off first because, you know. All right. Let's take it back just a little bit of this. And that's some nice texture. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to let this dry completely and then come back. Okay, so I'm back. We're all dry, and I wanted to show you just this wonderful texture that we have on this big paper that we put the collage and gesso on. We're bone dry now, so I brought back out my paper, and I've got just a number 2 pencil, nothing special. And what I want to do is, well, sharpen it, but also I want to go through here and start sketching out some shapes on my paper. I can erase or, fix my pencil if I put something where I don't want it. And then I'm going to go over it with ink and watercolor and all kinds of fun stuff so we can make some fun focal points for our art journals or artwork or whatever we want to do. And I want to also do some kind of abstract shapes that we can use for collage or to just put on as maybe a background to a focal point or something like that. And one of my favorites are circles, so I'm going to be tracing some of those out on here too, and we will get rolling. So first I think I'm going to make like a flower, but just a very simple one. So I'm going to trace a circle here and maybe another circle here. And see, this one's a little bit wonky looking, so I'm gonna bring that out a little bit more and grab my eraser and just kind of get rid of that one mark there. And I'm doing my sketches pretty dark so you can see, and actually let me zoom in a bit here too. Okay, so I've got 2 there, and I might do, let's see, another one right here, just like that. And I'm going to have my stems come right down to the end, and let's do some fun leaves. And I don't mind if they overlap right now because I am just going to be painting over those anyway. Okay. And let's do a fun little spiral. Just like that. All right. So I'm just going to erase. This one is my front one. So the leaves coming off of that are definitely going to be in the front. So I'm just going to erase that stem part. And I think that's the only thing that needs to be erased here. So I will just get rid of that. Like so. All right. I've got my little sauce cup here. I'm going to trace some circles. And I'm doing them kind of wherever I can fit something in. So I'm going to try to fill this whole page with elements. And maybe I'll even do a little half circle here. Just like that. I'm using the lid to my spray bottle. Like that. And let's do a nice half leaf here, a leaf here, and maybe we'll kind of mix that up or, blend them together so we can have a couple of different, turn it into a stem like that. Okay. And then maybe we have another leaf motif coming out down here. Just like that. And how about a little sprig right here? Let's do a little sort of daisy or sunflower flower head, just like this. I'm going to make this nice and full with some petals between the petals. Just like that. Let's do another smaller one here, but with some rounded petals. Just like that. And maybe we have one kind of behind it. Yeah. And we can have the two stems come together and have some rounder leaves coming off of here. And again, I want to just erase my little overlap line. Now let's make some fun shapes. I'm going to make a couple of triangles. Just like that. And how about we make a little organic pattern here of some squares, rectangles, just kind of rounded organic shapes. Like that. How about we make a couple of rings here? Like that. And a couple over here. I'm going to have a leaf coming off my flower right there, and maybe another one right there, and right there. Nothing like filling up your paper. All right, I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to start going in with my black ink. So I'm going in with my fine tip painter's marker. This is a permanent acrylic paint marker. And I'm going to go over my pencil marks that I made. And I'm going to have a little bit of an organic shape to my lines. Make them thicker in some spots and thinner in others. Okay, I'm going to jump in with some of my watercolor. So I've got my Marie's Masters palette, and it's got some metallics in it, and so we're going to have some fun with this first. And I'm going to go into my purple red here and just start putting in a little bit of wash on my flowers. So I'm doing this over gesso. It's not watercolor paper, so it's not going to have quite the same look as when you're doing watercolor in, on an actual paper. But it kind of has a nice cloudy look. It'll pick up some of that paper texture, and you can still layer it. And I think it has a really neat look. And I'm going to come in here with some of this darker purple and just kind of put that in some of the places. Just like this. And you get that nice transparent color, but it's just not going to be flowy, I guess would be the right word. I'm going to go into some of this yellow ochre, maybe add a little bit of that purple into it, and put it in there in the center. And let's add some sap green and maybe just a hint of this alizarin crimson. And we're going to go in and do some color on these leaves. Just like that. And this is just a very quick process. And it'll mix right there on the page and start putting on some of that color. Now let me hold this up so you can see how it looks. And I love that. It's just very light, and you can always layer it and add more over it, but it gives this nice look to the background. I'm going to add some sky blue here, just to the color I already have on my palette. Color in some of these triangles. And I'm going to make these colors just kind of whimsical and have some fun. Go back into this purple and blend that in right here onto the page. And we'll get a mixture of colors here. Let's see. How about some ultramarine blue? And I'm just going to keep this little mixing pile going. And I'm going to come in here, put some color into these circles, and maybe to that circle over there. We'll go back into our purple and just drop in some of that color right here into that blue and into this blue over here. And then we can get some variation and gradients going on and some just nice blendy effects. I really love the texture that comes through with that watercolor. You can see that really neat background, and that is from the gesso, the collage, the matte medium, and so it's really a neat little look. Okay, let's make these like a nice happy bright yellow. Just like that. And I'm just going very quickly with my brush. I'm not being careful because I want to kind of blend out the colors a bit and have some fun with them. So let's do that, and maybe we'll dip into a little bit of this alizarin crimson and add that here. Just around some of the edges or maybe to the inside, and just let it kind of blend together like that. And I'm going to come back in with some more of this sap green and add it to my leaves. Come in some more yellow and let that blend together. Nice. All right, how about some purple? We'll do some of these squares. And maybe we go back into that sky blue up here and add that in to some of these. And it's got this really nice purple look. I'm going to blot up just a little bit of this extra water because I don't want it to be too wet. I just want to add that color. Yeah. Just like that. Okay. do one of these circles here. And we'll add some of that red yellow to it. So actually this will turn a little bit more neutral. You get that kind of a brown going, but I like that. And maybe I'll drop in just a little bit of purple over here and get a nice color. And then let's do that again with this one. Maybe this one will have some extra purple. I like how this dries and blends on the page. It's really beautiful. All right, I'm going to give this a little bit of a flip so I don't get my hand all in the paint. And let's work on these. So I'm going to go back into my sap green. I want all of these colors, even though I'm working with different colors, I want them all to kind of go together. So I'm just slowly changing the colors that are in my mixing palette. That way they'll all be cohesive in a way, and it's almost like you're building a little bit of a collection. And so if you choose, you know, a color theme that you want to work with, like for this one I want some sort of bright whimsical colors, but you could do something with more neutrals, more grays and things like that. So I'm going into my yellow ochre here and I'm just adding some detail to those leaves. That's a little strong for me, so I'm going to wipe some of that back with my brush. Just like that. It's very forgiving to work on a gessoed surface. Okay, what color do we want to make these flowers? I think I would actually like to make them blue and purple. I really love this sort of teal color that comes out when you mix that sap green and the sky blue. That's a nice combination, I think. So I'm going to give it just some light marks with that, and then I'm going to come in and with this darker purple and just add some around and just blend it in. And I love that texture. It just really pops. Okay, I'm going to work on these leaves here. I'm going to go back into this yellow ochre mixture and come in and do a quick little bottom layer. Just like that. And you can see I'm being just very sketchy with my brush. Okay, I'm going to go back into, you guessed it, that sap green and add some more color in here. And I'm going to go right in over where I was blending that yellow. Whoops. I don't want purple. Okay, excellent. Now I'm gonna let these come together. I'm gonna introduce some of this Viridian. Just gonna add a little bit of water and start working on these and these. Add some more yellow. And let's lighten that up a bit. And I'm going a little bit out of the lines here. That's okay, because I'm actually going to be cutting it out to follow that mark with the marker. So that's fine with me. All right. But if you want to clean yours up, you can just take your moist brush and just go right around that outside. Now what I'm going to do, I want to make this available to all of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting these out, scanning them in, and then you'll be able to download these images to use in your artwork if you want to. If you want to have some fun in your art journal, you'll be able to access these, and I will link to the file below. But take a look at this finished, well, art page in a way, and I'm going to hold up so you can just see all the really neat little effects that we got. And you can see the way the watercolor dries a little bit differently on a gessoed piece of paper. And it's a really neat cloudy look. And you can get some fun colors. Just have fun with your watercolors, your inks, your markers. You could even color this with Crayola marker and water it down. With gesso, you can really put anything on it, smooth it out, blend it, whatever you want to do. And these are just such fun little shapes. So we'll be able to use these in our art journals, and I will probably be incorporating some of these into some fun projects soon. I wanted to come back and show you what everything looks like now that it's cut out. And from that huge paper sheet that I was working on, I had very little waste. And now I have a bunch of just fun things to use in collage or journals or whatever I want. I didn't quite fussy cut all of these out because some of these I may want to keep as an element. I have these linked circles, and some of them I left a little bit of extra border in case I want to do any extra painting or shading on the outside. This is the one that I made up against the edge of that paper, so it's not complete, but I can still use this. I can use one leaf from this, and I can put it on the edge of one of my papers. But the important thing is I didn't have any paper going to waste. I've got this fun little leaf, and look at this. I mean, these came out so good. And you can mix and match because all the colors kind of go together. I can add extra leaves to this if I want to. I could have it coming out of here and make a little bit of a motif. I could even tuck this in back there if I wanted to. I can just do all sorts of things. I can have, let's see, these flowers come right out of this bubble here. The sky's the limit with these. I can have a pattern coming from these flowers. So these are going to be a lot of fun to play with, and I have a bunch of little pieces here. So I'm going to make this download file free on my website. So I'm going to paste the link below where you can download these for yourself, print them, and cut them out and use them in your own projects. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, guys. And until next time, keep creating.